Hi, welcome to the Just Ask Drew video series. Just Ask Drew is where Drew answers all your questions about high-end headphone audio. In this video, Drew covers his top picks for high-end DACs.
Hi, I'm Drew from Moon Audio, and today we're going to talk about some of my picks for my favorite headphone amp, desktop, DAC amp combination. The first piece I want to talk to you about is the Tec Stereo 192. Of the four amps here, it's the lowest priced at $15.95, and it's probably the most flexible from a standpoint of inputs and outputs. First of all, the volume control can be utilized in three different manners. You can put it in defeat mode and use the Tec strictly as a DAC. You can also use either an analog or a digital volume control. You can independently control both the headphone volume as well as a set of powered speakers on your desktop with it independently. So if you need to turn down your speakers to listen to a headphone or vice versa, it's very flexible in that regards. Another sexy appeal to this piece of equipment is the fact that it can do DSD audio. It is not just a Redbook CD DAC, but it'll also via USB or FireWire from your Mac computer pull DSD files and decode them. It has a whole host of inputs and outputs. It has AES inputs, 2 SPDIF, word clock, a USB 1 for older computers, a USB 2 for newer, and FireWire, as I said, for Mac, as well as a Toslink digital input. It's got analog outputs in both balanced and single-ended for connection to your amplifiers. So it can be used not only as a desktop amp, but as a preamp DAC in your stereo speaker system as well. It also has a set of analog inputs. Like I said, it's very flexible. There's a whole menu system by clicking on the menu button and pushing in the dial of the volume control that you can scroll through and do all kinds of configurations possible. The second piece I want to talk to you about, and second one in price level, is the brand new BMC Pure Dec. It's at $16.95. It's got a lot of similar features to the B.M.C. Not as many inputs and outputs. It does have balanced and single-ended outputs, Toslink, SPDIF, USB inputs, but that's it on the input selection. This piece, how it differs to the Tec, besides being able to do the normal Redbook and DSD audio, is it's got a balanced headphone amp in it versus the Tec has a single-ended headphone amp in it. This means it has a lot more power to drive those headphones that are more demanding, such as maybe the HE6 by Hi-Fi Man and so forth. So this has a little more power than the Tec. The Tec was designed by a pro company specifically for use in recording studios. So it's got a very neutral tonality to it. So it's not really finicky with which headphones that you use with it, other than the sense that you don't want to use headphones like the HE6 that just need a lot of power. This headphone amp, while it has good power to drive most headphones, will not work well with the HE6 headphone. Whereas when you go over to the B.M.C, we've got a lot more power reserves that'll drive just about any headphone on the planet. This is a very exciting piece. The designer Carlos used to work with as a lead design engineer for CEC out of Japan, and he finally got tired of designing stuff for other folks, and they formed B.M.C. Out of Germany. This is a fantastic piece. It's probably in this category my pick for best bang for the buck. It also has an interesting connection system that B.M.C. does called the B.M.C. Link, whereas you can connect it to some of its other products, and it creates a much shorter signal path between the components. There's a lot of technical information on the B.M.C. site, so I won't go into a huge amount of details, but I like this piece a lot. The next piece in the lineup, and we're going up in price, is the Burson Conductor. This is a newer generation of the HA160, which was probably one of the most popular amps that we've ever sold. Burson makes fantastic build quality for a fantastic price. Each one of them is built like a tank. We've rarely ever had any issues with them, and it's probably our best-selling line, the Burson products. With the new Burson Conductor from the old Burson 120, they've increased the power up to 4 watts per channel. So while it's only a single-ended headphone amp, it's got plenty of power to drive your most demanding headphones. It's got a lot of inputs and outputs. It's got 2 sets of analog inputs, a coax and a toslink input, as well as a USB input for connecting to computers. As well as it's got a fixed DAC analog output, so you can use this as a freestanding DAC in your system. The MyTech also has this functionality, so I wanted to do a little correlation between the two. It also has preamp outputs like the other pieces, so you can connect it to your amplifiers and run speakers as well. The Burson Conductor comes in 3 different flavors, if you will. This is the top of the line conductor that uses a machine chassis, a much higher quality attenuator or volume control. It uses an ESS 9018 DAC chip, which is a 32-bit chip. The next level down is what we call the SL Conductor 1550. It's at 1550, and it's basically a scaled down version of this model. They go from a machine chassis to a folded aluminum chassis. They use the Noble pot instead of the resistive stepped attenuator, but we're implementing the same DAC board. You lose the preamp outputs and the DAC outputs, but you have 1 analog input, 1 coax input, and 1 USB input. So if you don't need all the inputs and outputs, going with the a little less expensive Conductor SL 9018 will maintain the same DAC board, but you reduce to not have the analog outputs for the DAC or the preamp outputs. You lose one of the analog inputs, and you lose the toslink input. It goes from a machine chassis to a folded aluminum chassis, and the volume control is changed from the resistive stepped attenuator to a Noble pot. Still a great value at $15.50, a good piece. Then if you want to scale things down a little further and go to what used to be the original HA160, they've got the version called the Conductor SL 7193, which is using the old PCM 7193 chip, which has a warmer, fuller bodied sound over the ESS chip used in this conductor here. That's still a very popular chip, which is why they've maintained it. It's got the same inputs and output characteristics as the other SL conductor model. And by and large, probably the Burson model line has been our best seller. Built like tanks and a great value. The last piece I'm going to talk to you on my list is the all-new Sennheiser HDVA 800. And this comes in 2 different models, the 800 and the 600. The 800, as seen here, is the model that comes with both a balanced headphone amp and a DAC section, whereas the 600 eliminates the DAC section. This amplifier was actually in use in the Sennheiser labs for powering their HD 800s and designing those headphones. They decided in this past year to release this model as a consumer product. The HDVA 800 has both analog and digital inputs. It's got single-ended and balanced analog inputs, as well as an AES, an SB diff, both in coax and toslink, as well as a USB input. It has a balanced output so that you can use it as a standalone free DAC. In other words, the volume control will not affect the output level of the balanced outputs. In the 600 model that doesn't have a DAC, the balanced analog outputs are in the same manner. The volume control does not control it, so you cannot use either of these as a preamp. It's used for basically, in the 600 case, it's used as a monitor, and in this case, you can use it as a freestanding DAC. This, like the BMC, is a balanced headphone amp. It's got a lot more power. It was designed and voiced for the HD 800 by Sennheiser, and so it's really a match made in heaven for that headphone. There's no reason you can't use it with other headphones, but both the HD 800 as well as the new HD 700 really team up nicely with this amplifier. As far as what headphones go with each one of these amplifiers, honestly, it just comes down to synergy and what you're looking for. I'd be happy to provide you with all kinds of recommendations based on what kind of music you listen to and which piece I might think will work well with the headphones that you have. So to summarize, these are our best picks for desktop headphone amp / DACs. If you have any more technical questions about each one of these pieces or how you want to match them up in your system, please visit our blog at moon-audio.com /JustAskDrew.